It was a soap opera at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and let's start with McLaren and Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, the two of them. And I think the main issue and where it all starts between both drivers is McLaren on the strategy side. We have to talk about them pitting Lando Norris first and prioritizing him instead of race leader Oscar Piastri. And in racing, you always want to prioritize the driver that's in front. Even if they're leading the actual Grand Prix, you need to prioritize them. So on the strategy side, I think McLaren really needs to take a deep look into that, and they may have some explaining to do to both drivers as to why they did what they did. For Lando Norris holding on to the lead for as long as he did and not really relinquishing that lead to Oscar Piastri, I can understand the reasoning. Racing drivers are selfish. You're like a dog with a bone, a hungry dog with a bone, really, out in the race lead like that. And so for giving something like that up, it's really hard to ask a driver to do that. I think also in the back of Lando's mind, he's also thinking about the driver's championship standings. I think he thinks if Red Bull keeps floundering, if their car keeps regressing, and if Max makes more mistakes moving forward, I think Lando believes that he can have a shot at this championship. For Oscar Piastri, a very talented driver, rising star in Formula One, who's coming up through the ranks here, getting your first victory is extremely important for him. I think also the dynamics between the two teammates and the trust that they need to have in each other could have been broken this weekend between both drivers. I think McLaren as a team, you can't have that, because as you move forward throughout this season in this particular championship and then looking at next year's championship, you could have a team that could battle for both constructors and drivers championships in this season and next season. Maybe not the drivers in this season, but definitely the drivers for next season. And you're going to need your teammate at all times in Formula One moving forward. So they need to take a closer look at that. They also need to have some discussions internally, including the drivers. Let's talk about Max Verstappen real quickly. Horrible weekend for Max, I think, with this particular race, colliding with Lewis Hamilton. I think for Max, it's a case of the red mist that a driver gets. You get so angry inside the car that sometimes you lose yourself a bit and you do silly things and make mistakes. I think for Max and the team, it's been frustrating because upgrades that they've brought to the car, they're not necessarily working as well as they'd like them to. And I think also for the team aspect, it's a little frustrating with Sergio not being able to get close enough to Max Verstappen to help with that Constructors' Championship and to help with that Drivers' Championship as well. I think for Max moving forward, going to have to take a moment, try to cool himself down a little bit, because again, that's another mistake in the past 1, 2, 3 races that he has had. If we go all the way back to Austria and the battle with Lando Norris there, and then fast forward here to Hungary and his collision with Lewis Hamilton, all of this could really set him back in the driver's standings if he continues to make mistakes. The next race up is the Belgian Grand Prix. Should be a good one with all the storylines we've got coming into it.